Well, hello everyone. This is Wes, and you are watching Coffee with Wes for July the 2nd, 2025. It's a Wednesday. And as you can tell, we are still on location, still on assignment. We're making our way back today. We'll be leaving in just a little bit, headed back uh, toward home. Anyway, but I know it's Wednesday, and Wednesday's kind of like the middle of the week, and we're kind of like don't know if we're going to get everything done, or we don't know how the week's going to go. We're just right in the middle of it all. But for me, since I've been away for since Sunday, I really don't have much going on. Pretty chilled right now. So anyway, we're having a good time. Glad you're tuning in today. As you know, since today is Wednesday, all the resources and study resources for this Sunday's Bible study, small group Bible study, is available on my website, weshenson.com, www.weshenson.com. And so there's a podcast there. There's some video. There's some 2-page printed summary, kind of a discussion guide or a study guide. So you can take a look at that. If that helps you, that's great. That's wonderful. And if not, well, it didn't cost you anything anyway. So that's how we're going to look at that today. But anyway, let's get started on our little time together, little word together. And we're talking about faith. In fact, we're finishing up that whole topic this week. But we're going to finish up in a big way because we're going to talk about bold faith. And bold faith is not just something that you get by waking up some morning and, making a commitment like to the Lord, or just saying, making a resolution like today, I'm going to have bold faith. Today I'm going to have big faith. It doesn't work that way. It just doesn't work that way. Our faith grows over time. No shortcuts. And we find it as we trust the Lord, as we read the Word, as we spend time meditating and praying, and as we, again, are encouraged by those around us in church and small groups, and all of that helps our faith to grow and to build till we get to this point of a bold type faith. And our example this week, or our illustration this week, is Stephen. So here's the big idea. Let me get started. Let me get going, okay? Enough rambling, Wes. So the big idea for our discussion today is that bold faith is not silent. It demonstrates God's power in action. Our verse of scripture today is Acts chapter 6, verse 8. Again, speaking of Stephen, this is how he's described. Stephen, a man full of God's grace and power, performed amazing miracles and signs among the people. So here's a little background here. Stephen was chosen, one of the 7. We talked about that already. One of the 7 chosen to serve the tables, to make sure that all of the widows received their proper allotment of food each and every day. So that's what his job was. But he didn't limit his witness to just that role. He didn't say, okay, this is my job, and that's it. He was filled with grace and power, the word says, and he performed signs and wonders among the people. So he kind of expanded his faith, overflowed, if you will, into public ministry. And public ministry is so important. One of the descriptions here of Stephen is that he was filled with grace. And what I think that means is that he had grace when it came to other people, that he loved other people, that, we can't minister to others if we don't like them. We can't minister to others if we don't love them. We can't minister to others if we think it's just a duty, a responsibility, what we're supposed to do, and we do it out of guilt. When we minister to other people, we first have to be filled with God's grace, because some folks are hard to love. I know that's hard to understand. People like you, people like me, hey, we're easy to love, right? But there are other people that are difficult, maybe even impossible to love. And so that's where we need God's grace. And that's what Stephen had. He had God's grace, and his faith overflowed into action, public ministry. And so God used him to draw attention to the gospel. So God uses our ministry to draw attention to the gospel, the good news of Jesus Christ. So here's an application. Don't limit how God can use you. Bold faith steps into those opportunities to serve and to speak. Trusting God is going to work through both. You know, oftentimes we limit ourselves. We limit those things that we allow God to work through us. And when we have an opportunity to serve, we decline. We have an opportunity to say something, we keep silent. But you know, bold faith is making the most of the opportunities that God gives us. So are you willing to let God's power be seen through your ordinary acts of service? You know, just your everyday, routine, mundane acts of service. Are you willing to let God's power be seen through the things that you do? Here's our closing thought for today. And this is important because, let me just read it. Bold faith isn't loud. It's faithful. Having a bold faith doesn't mean that you take up all the space in the room. Having a bold faith doesn't mean that people look at you and say, wow, right? Bold faith is in the simple things that we do. It isn't loud. It's simply faithful. It's just things that we do day after day after day for the Lord. And when it's faithful, God's power becomes visible. There are those things that we do every single day, and we do them for the Lord, and we wonder if there's any use. We wonder if there's any success. Will anything happen? Am I just wasting my time? But the Lord calls us to be faithful in the everyday routine things that we do. And when we are, the Lord can use those in a mighty way to draw people to the gospel. Okay, folks, have a great day. Have a great Wednesday. Allow the Lord to work through your faithful acts of ministry in his behalf today, and make it a good day. All right. See you again real soon, and bye for now.